Nick Robinson has done a very interesting interview with Suella Braverman on the BBC, and he's asked her. He said this isn't a news interview. This is an interview to find out how she's thinking or how she thought, if she thinks. And a number of questions came up. Obviously, one of them. Well, he introduced her, talking about her use of the word invasion. The invasion, of course, as she said, of 100 million coming to these shores, potentially. How we need to oppose this invasion, how we need to stop the boats, and her political thinking. Where does that come from for somebody who is the daughter of an immigrant who arrived? And Nick Robinson painted the picture beautifully. Arrived as a young man in Heathrow with a British passport. Had he delayed it by one more year, maybe he would have had that passport. And he was very lucky on a one-way ticket. And Suella Braverman herself was very lucky on an Erasmus scheme, studying in France, an avowed Francophile because of her mother's roots in Mauritius, and both speaking French. She explained how she spoke French to her counterpart in France as a minister, and there were moments of warmth which I hadn't expected. She said that she was regarded as a softie at home, though she's steely, she said, when she's at work. Does she put on a game face, she was asked. Well, is she? I'm a toughie. It's but she said she liked to work collaboratively, and she called her what I would call her nastiness honesty. Nick Robinson threw what he called a hand grenade when he talked about invasions. When she was speaking about her father, she talked about the security and opportunities that he had, but that was because he had a passport. It was pure chance, and how he was welcomed with open arms. But that's not the welcome that she has given, not only for those people who are illegal migrants, but she's also banged the drum about legal migrants. Surely her father was a legal migrant, and she would have banged the drum against him too, had she been active at the point when he fled from Kenya. She says that the problem is people jumping the queue, but there is no queue because she's closed all the safe and legal routes. So there's no queue. There's simply a backlog in the hotels and a closed gate. Nobody can get in by the safe and legal routes, and what the safe and legal routes there aren't working, as we see routinely with the backing up of the people coming on the safe and legal route from Afghanistan. She was asked about her being, as Nick Robinson described it, ferociously proud. He said that's very much a Braverman word. Ferociously proud because she deeply admires what Britain has done for centuries, and how her father had loved Britain from afar, and how this had informed her worldview. The picture of the Queen on the wall. He teased her about whether or not there's a picture of Margaret Thatcher. He went into the details about her reverence for Margaret Thatcher and her mother's role as a councillor, how elections became a thing the family was engaged in on a regular basis. But he also talked about how she led the 28 Spartans that brought down Theresa May, that refused to give in, and how she toppled May, and then worked behind the scenes to foment this rancour, which came to a head when she was in the position of Home Secretary. And she talked convincingly, I thought, about the way that she felt that the supremacy of EU law was overwhelming British law, national law, She talked about the 40 years it took to establish this EU law over national law. And ironically, Jacob Rees-Mogg says it's going to take 40 more years before we see the benefits of Brexit. But that's what I want to get to, by the way. But she said that the EU law was politicised and interventionist, and she cited the Rule 39 orders which stopped the Rwanda flights. But she was asked towards the end of the interview what industries are better off because of Brexit, and then she laughed. And then, as with so many of the questions which Nick Robinson actually put to her, she evaded the answer. She got really into a habit of that. She's learnt from Rishi Sunak, or I don't know who her master are, Barclay or somebody. She just seems to be disposed to avoid the answer. But she couldn't name any industries that have benefited from Brexit, and she didn't try to. She said it was very easy to poke holes, but if it's so easy to poke holes at Brexit, then that means surely she is conceding that Brexit hasn't worked, that it's a failed project. No industries. Surely she thinks we're better off because of Brexit. But nobody, Suella Braverman, nobody can tell me what are the benefits of Brexit. Who is better off because of Brexit? Even if we have to wait 40 years, who is better off? Of course, after 40 years, everything has changed. If we can't make Brexit work after 40 years, my goodness, we're pretty useless as a country anyway. We should be able to make anything work after even 10 years. Whether it's good or bad, it shouldn't matter. But in 2016, we were told as soon as the vote happens, we will see the benefits of Brexit. Then after the vote, we were told that it's only when we actually leave, get Brexit done, or as Rees-Mogg said, oh, it could take 40 years. That's as long as we were in the EU in the first place. It's as if we have to wind the clock back incrementally, year by dull year, until we get back to the same point that we're in chronologically in reverse, to the point when we actually entered the EU in the first place, to actually see some sort of benefits. I don't subscribe to that grind. I think within 10 years we should see our country back on its feet. But why did we do Brexit in the first place? What was that spark that made Brexit worthwhile? I'd love to know. I'd love to know even more if Suella Braverman can tell me, but she couldn't tell Nick Robinson. I don't suppose she'd want to tell me. I mean, the whole thing seems like a monumental deceit. It's like I know we've had some setbacks nationally, internationally. I know we've had the problems of the Ukraine invasion, the invasion of Ukraine by Putin. I know we've had the problem of the Wuhan flu, however that manifested, whatever happened, whether or not it was an accident or whether or not it was an act of God, who knows, but we have experienced it and we had to deal with it and we had to go into lockdown, and that has had a huge effect on us economically. But as I say, any normal country can struggle back within 10 years, but Rees-Mogg says it's going to take 40. And yet, we were promised on the bus that we would see an immediate positive. Where is that? Just name one thing, one positive, one industrial benefit of Brexit. I've asked this question so many times in the past. I've had some vague assertions, and I've looked into them, and I still can't see them. They should be tripping off the tongue. Suella Braverman should be singing them like some sort of litany. But I don't hear it. And when she's asked, it's like an opportunity to boast of the brilliance of Brexit. All that alliteration for nothing. All that effort for nothing. All that time wasted for nothing. All that posturing for nothing. All that rhetoric for nothing. That career for nothing. Suella Braverman for nothing.